Hey, what's up, horror lovers? Welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into today's absolutely terrifying story, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because trust me, after hearing this story, you're going to want to stick around for more spine-chilling content. So let me ask you something. Have you guys seen those cute little Labubu dolls that have been trending everywhere? You know, those adorable collectible toys with the big teeth and elf-like ears? Well, what if I told you that one of these innocent-looking dolls completely destroyed someone's life? And I'm not talking about buyer's remorse here, people. I'm talking about something way darker, way more sinister. The story I'm about to share with you was sent to me by someone named Madison from Portland, Oregon. Madison, thank you so much for trusting me with your experience, and I hope sharing this helps you heal from whatever you went through. And hey, if any of you have your own paranormal stories, my email is in the description below. But before we jump into Madison's nightmare, let me give you guys a quick background on these Labubu dolls for those who might not know about them. Labubu is this super popular collectible toy character created by Hong Kong artist Kazing Lung. These dolls became absolutely massive on social media, especially TikTok and Instagram. They're these cute little creatures with rabbit-like ears, prominent teeth, and this mischievous expression. People collect them like crazy, and some of the rare ones sell for hundreds of dollars. But here's where it gets interesting and creepy. The character itself is supposed to represent this playful, slightly naughty fairy-like creature. But according to the original lore, Labubu has this dual nature. It can be sweet and innocent, but it also has this darker side that comes out when it feels neglected or abandoned. Now, most people just see them as cute collectibles. But Madison's story is about to change how you look at these dolls forever. So this story takes place in October 2024. Madison is a 23-year-old graphic designer living in Portland, Oregon. She's always been into cute collectibles, Funko Pops, anime figures, you know the drill. When Labubu dolls started trending, she immediately fell in love with them. Madison had been trying to get her hands on a rare variant for months. You know how these limited releases work? They sell out in minutes, and then you're stuck paying crazy resale prices. She'd been following all the restock notifications, camping on websites, the whole 9 yards. Finally, in early October, she found what she was looking for on a resale app. Someone in Seattle was selling a rare Shadow Edition Labubu, completely black with glowing red eyes. The seller, who went by the username Collector K, said it was from a limited run that was only released in Asia and never made it to the US market officially. The price was steep $300 for a doll that originally retailed for like $40. But Madison had been obsessing over this particular variant for months. She'd seen it in YouTube unboxing videos and Instagram posts from collectors in Japan and Hong Kong, and she absolutely had to have it. Madison messaged Collector K, and the guy seemed legit. He had good reviews, photos of the doll from multiple angles, and even provided some kind of authenticity certificate written in what looked like Chinese characters. The only weird thing was that he insisted on shipping it in the original packaging without opening it to verify the contents. "Trust me," he messaged her. "These Shadow Editions are extremely rare. Once you open the original packaging, it loses a lot of its value. Plus, I've never had any issues with authenticity." Madison thought that made sense. A lot of high-end collectibles work that way, so she sent the payment, and Collector K shipped it out immediately. Surprisingly fast shipping too, it arrived just 2 days later. When the package arrived, Madison was so excited she could barely contain herself. The box was this sleek black package with minimal design, way more sophisticated than the usual colorful Labubu packaging she'd seen online. There was some text in Asian characters and a warning label that she couldn't read. The moment Madison opened the box, she got this weird feeling. The doll was absolutely perfect, exactly what she'd wanted. But something felt off. The red eyes seemed way more intense than in the photos, and there was this faint smell coming from the packaging, like old incense mixed with something metallic. But she brushed it off. She was finally holding her dream collectible. Madison set up the Labubu doll on her desk in her home office where she does her graphic design work. She even posted photos on Instagram with captions like, "Finally got my grail," and "Shadow Labubu hits different." For the first few days, everything seemed normal. The doll looked amazing on her desk, and she loved how unique it was compared to all the regular Labubu variants her friends had. But then weird things started happening. It began with her work computer. Madison would leave her office for lunch or to take a break, and when she'd come back, she'd find her computer screen displaying random images she'd never opened. Weird, dark artwork, abstract faces, sometimes just solid black screens. At first, she thought maybe her computer was glitching or she had some kind of malware. She ran virus scans, updated her software, even called tech support. Everything came back clean. Then her sleep started getting weird. Madison had always been a great sleeper, but suddenly she was having these incredibly vivid nightmares. Always the same theme. She dreamed that she was in her office working, and she could feel someone watching her from behind. In the dream, she'd slowly turn around, and there would be this figure standing in the corner with glowing red eyes. She'd wake up in cold sweats, heart pounding. But here's the really messed up part. Every time she had these nightmares, she'd find herself sleepwalking. She'd wake up standing in her office, facing her desk where the Labubu doll was sitting. By the third week of having the doll, things escalated dramatically. Madison started hearing sounds coming from her office at night. Not loud sounds, but subtle ones, like something small moving around, tiny footsteps, or the sound of papers rustling. She'd check her office multiple times, but everything would be exactly as she left it, except for the Labubu doll. She swore she'd positioned it facing forward on her desk, but she'd often find it turned at different angles, sometimes facing the door, sometimes facing the window. Madison started thinking maybe the cleaning lady was moving it, or perhaps the vibrations from the apartment upstairs were causing it to shift. She even put a small mark on her desk to track the doll's exact position. But every morning it had moved. Her friends started noticing changes in Madison too. She became distant, distracted during conversations, and had these dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. When they asked what was wrong, she'd just say she was stressed about work. But the truth was, Madison was becoming obsessed with the doll. She'd catch herself staring at it for long periods, and sometimes she felt like it was staring back. The red eyes seemed to follow her movements around the room. Things reached a breaking point on Halloween night. Madison was working late on a client project when she heard what sounded like a child giggling coming from somewhere in her apartment. She paused her work and listened carefully. The giggling seemed to be coming from different directions, first from the kitchen, then from the bedroom, then from right behind her. Madison spun around in her chair, and for just a split second, she swore she saw a small shadow dart across the hallway. Her heart was racing, but she tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was trick-or-treaters outside, sounds carrying through the walls. She went back to work, but the giggling continued. Soft, playful, but somehow sinister at the same time. Like a child who was enjoying some private joke that nobody else understood. That's when Madison noticed something that made her blood run cold. The Labubu doll wasn't on her desk anymore. She frantically searched her office, looking under the desk, behind the computer, in all the drawers. Nothing. The doll had completely disappeared. Madison searched her entire apartment. Living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, everywhere. The doll was nowhere to be found. And this was a one-bedroom apartment, guys. There weren't many places a small doll could hide. As Madison was searching, the giggling stopped completely. The apartment became dead silent. Too silent. Even the usual sounds from neighboring apartments seemed to have disappeared. That's when she decided to check the one place she hadn't looked, her bedroom closet. Madison opened the closet door and started moving clothes around, looking on the shelves, checking the floor. And there, sitting on the top shelf behind some old sweaters, was the Labubu doll. But it wasn't alone. There were 5 other Labubu dolls surrounding it. All black, all with those glowing red eyes, all positioned in a perfect circle around the original doll she'd bought. Madison had never seen these other dolls before in her life. She lived alone, had only one key to her apartment, and kept her door locked at all times. There was absolutely no way anyone could have gotten into her apartment and placed those dolls there. But there they were. 6 identical Shadow Edition Labubu dolls, sitting in her closet like they were having some kind of meeting. Madison was so freaked out she could barely breathe. She grabbed her phone and started taking pictures, but every photo came out completely black. Her phone camera was working fine. She could take pictures of everything else in the room. But whenever she pointed it at the dolls, the screen would go dark. That's when she noticed something else. There was a piece of paper tucked under one of the new dolls. Madison carefully reached up and grabbed it. The paper had a message written in what looked like a child's handwriting. "Thank you for bringing me home. Now we can all play together forever. Your new family." Madison immediately grabbed all 6 dolls and stuffed them into a garbage bag. She was done. Whatever was happening, she wanted no part of it. But as she was tying up the garbage bag, she heard that giggling again. This time it was coming from inside the bag. Madison dropped the bag and ran out of her apartment. She spent the night at her friend Sarah's place, and the next morning, she came back with Sarah and her boyfriend Mike for moral support. When they entered Madison's apartment, everything seemed normal. But when they went to the bedroom, the garbage bag was empty. The dolls were back in the closet, arranged in the same circle. Mike, being the skeptical type, suggested they just throw the dolls away properly, take them to a dumpster far from the building. So that's what they did. All 3 of them drove to a shopping center about 10 miles away and threw the dolls in a dumpster behind a Target. Madison felt relieved. Finally, this nightmare was over. But when they got back to her apartment, there was a package waiting outside her door. No delivery notification, no return address. Just a black box with her name written in that same childlike handwriting. Inside the box were 7 Labubu dolls this time. The original 6 plus 1 more. And this new one was different. It had Madison's face. Someone had somehow put a tiny photo of Madison's face on the doll's head. At this point, Madison was absolutely terrified. Sarah suggested they research the seller, Collector K, to see if other people had similar experiences. What they found was disturbing. Collector K's account had been selling these rare Shadow Edition Labubu dolls for months, but every single buyer had left weird reviews. People talking about strange dreams, missing time, objects moving in their homes, and multiple dolls appearing when they'd only bought one. One review from a buyer in Chicago said, "Doll is exactly as described, but I keep finding more of them in my house. I've thrown them away 6 times. They keep coming back. Please help." Another from someone in Miami, "Whatever you do not buy from this seller. These aren't normal toys. Something is seriously wrong with them." But here's the creepy part. Whenever people left negative reviews, their accounts would be deleted within 24 hours. And Collector K's account? It had been active for over 3 years, but according to the platform's records, it was created just last month. Madison tried everything. She contacted the platform to report the seller, but they said the account didn't exist. She tried burning the dolls, but they wouldn't catch fire. She tried leaving them at different locations around the city, but they always found their way back to her apartment. Finally, Sarah found something online. There was this forum thread about cursed collectibles, and someone had posted about similar experiences with haunted Labubu dolls. According to this person, the only way to break the connection was to find the original source and return them there. After some digging, they discovered that Collector K had been shipping all the dolls from the same location, an abandoned toy factory outside of Seattle that had burned down in the 1990s. Madison, Sarah, and Mike made the drive to Seattle. When they found the factory ruins, they discovered something that explained everything. The factory hadn't just burned down. It had burned down with several workers inside, including some who had brought their children to work that day because of a school closure. The local newspaper archives showed that 3 children had died in the fire, and their bodies were never found. The factory had been manufacturing bootleg toys, including early versions of what would later become popular collectible figures. Madison placed all 7 dolls in the ruins of the factory and said out loud, "I'm returning you to where you belong. Please leave me alone." As soon as she set the dolls down, they heard children's laughter echoing through the ruins. But it wasn't scary this time, it sounded happy, relieved. The dolls never returned to Madison's apartment after that. But here's the thing that still gives Madison nightmares. When they were driving away from the factory, she looked back one last time. In the rearview mirror, she could see the ruins clearly. And standing among the rubble were 3 children in old-fashioned clothes, each holding a Labubu doll, waving goodbye. Madison wanted me to share this story as a warning to other collectors. She says to be extremely careful when buying rare or limited edition collectibles from unknown sellers, especially if they're being sold for way below market value or if the seller has weird restrictions about the sale. And if you ever encounter anything like this, dolls that multiply, objects that move on their own, or anything that feels genuinely supernatural, don't try to handle it alone. Find people who believe you and can help you research the history behind whatever you're dealing with. Oh, and one more thing, Madison checked Collector K's account one last time before I recorded this video. It's still active, still selling rare Shadow Edition Labubu dolls. Still has those same weird reviews that get deleted within 24 hours. So if you're into collecting these dolls, maybe stick to official retailers, yeah? Madison told me that even now, months later, she still has nightmares about those dolls. She's moved apartments twice since this happened, but she says sometimes, just sometimes, when she's falling asleep, she can still hear that faint giggling. She's completely stopped collecting toys and figures. Her entire collecting hobby, which used to bring her so much joy, was ruined by this experience. She says she can't even walk past toy stores without feeling anxious. But the weirdest part? Madison's Instagram account, where she used to post all her collectibles, still gets tagged in photos of Labubu dolls by random accounts. Accounts with no profile pictures, no followers, and no other posts. Just pictures of Shadow Edition Labubu dolls with captions like, "Missing you," and "Come play with us." Madison has blocked dozens of these accounts, but new ones keep appearing. I actually decided to do some digging into this myself after Madison shared her story. I found that factory she mentioned in Seattle, and guys, the history is absolutely real. The Cascade Toy Manufacturing Company burned down on October 31st, 1993, Halloween night. 7 people died in that fire, including 3 children who were there with their parents. But here's what's really messed up. I tried to find more information about Collector K's other sales, and I discovered something disturbing. Over the past 2 years, there have been at least 12 missing person reports filed in various U.S. cities. All young adults, all collectors, and all had recently purchased rare collectibles from online sellers just before they disappeared. The police don't see a connection because the sellers all have different usernames and the missing people are spread across different states. But when you look at the pattern, it's there. Look, I'm not saying all online collectible sellers are dangerous or supernatural. Most of them are just regular people selling their stuff. But Madison's story should serve as a reminder to be careful about who you're buying from, especially when dealing with expensive or rare items. Do your research on sellers. Check their history, read reviews carefully, and trust your instincts. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is. And if you start experiencing anything remotely similar to what Madison went through, don't ignore it. Document everything, tell people you trust, and don't try to handle it alone. I want to be clear, I'm not trying to scare people away from collecting toys or figures. For most people, it's a fun, harmless hobby. But Madison's experience shows that sometimes, the things we bring into our homes carry more than just sentimental value. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, there's no denying that Madison went through something genuinely traumatic. And if sharing her story can prevent even one person from having a similar experience, then it was worth telling. So that's Madison's story, everyone. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had weird experiences with collectibles or online purchases. Have you guys heard of other collectors having strange experiences with their items? And please be careful out there. Don't forget to like this video if it gave you chills, subscribe for more horror stories every week, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also, I'm curious, do any of you collect Labubu dolls? After hearing this story, are you going to think twice about where you buy them from? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the cutest things hide the darkest secrets. Sweet dreams, everyone, if you can manage to have them after this story.